guys, what's happening? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Action Movie Anatomy. Yet another episode, yet another Jason Bourne installment. This is the 5th installment in the Jason Bourne franchise, and quite possibly the last time we ever see Matt Damon don the cape and cowl. He doesn't wear a cape and cowl. He's not Batman. This is Action Movie Anatomy. We're going to talk about the movie. Hang out with us. We'll see you guys in just a second.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Action Movie Anatomy.
Boom! What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Extreme Ways are back again.
Extreme Ways are back again.
All right, that was my one that I get for the show.
He really only gets one.
Yeah,
They've called us.
I do it the one time. Guys, welcome to Action Movie Anatomy. Welcome to another episode of our beloved show. Episode, what, like 65 or something like that? This is Jason Bourne.
There's so many.
There's so many memories. This is the 5th Jason Bourne movie, titled Jason Bourne, and this is Action Movie Anatomy, where we talk about action movies. I'm your host, Ben Bateman, joined today by Mr. Andrew Ghai.
Woo! Dude, I'm just happy we get to hear Moby again. That's
Yeah.
all I want. It's just, like, did you love the end, the remix, or no?
Oh, it's just like, it's a little like, right, it's like a little more going on. No, I prefer classic Moby.
I like classic Moby as well.
I prefer classic Moby.
Yes. What's up, guys?
This is an action movie show, guys, on the Popcorn Talk Network. We're the online broadcast network dedicated to talking movies and all things movie-related. And here on the show, we talk about action movies. Those movies... That song is going on a little long, Donica, don't you think?
Donica doesn't care. Mark got married this last week, guys, so congratulations to Mark and his beautiful wife.
Ah, you beautiful bastards. Love
Round
you.
of applause.
Love you, buddy.
Mark Donica.
I like the song.
Yeah,
We all like the song, man.
You can keep, if you want to use it as a transition between segments.
Every single time we say anything, it just comes on. Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, the movies we do on the show usually have 4 basic rules. Rule number 1 is that the hero always plays by their own rules. Jason Bourne is like a definitive hero that plays by his own rules.
Yep.
That's like rule number 2. The hero and the villain are always the smartest people in the room, 100%.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee, Alicia Vikander, and Jason Bourne.
Cassel.
Yeah, Vincent Cassel, the asset. Yet another asset.
Another asset.
With a big nose. Rule number 3, the movie is driven by a police, military, political, or mercenary figure. He's former military, former Delta Force. David Webb.
Little patriot.
Pudding. I'm going to have lunch with Bill Cosby.
Do you think that you've said this already, but like Albert Finney made an appearance. How bad did you want Brian Cox?
So bad.
Just like we needed some flashback with him.
Flashback with Cox. Yeah. More Cox.
Even if it's more Cox. That's
the
way
Bourne
Ben lives
movies,
his life.
The Bourne movies always need more Cox.
That's true.
And then rule number 4, the movie contains a minimum of 1 explosion, which incidentally, the previous 3, Bourne 1, 2, and 3 of Matt Damon, all had 1 explosion each.
Yes, just
I think
one.
there was more than that in this movie.
I believe so.
Or maybe just crashing cars.
Yeah, maybe that was like the extent of explosion.
Petrol bomb that Bourne
the
throws on the
Molotov,
ground.
the cocktail.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That's not called a petrol bomb?
That's a Molotov cocktail.
Aren't they not the same thing?
I don't know what a petrol bomb is.
Never mind. I thought I was remember that from being a kid.
It is a hydro petrol bomb.
So, guys, if you want to follow along in the conversation, hang out with us. Andrew's in the live chat right now.
I am.
And also, you can find us on Twitter. We have an Action Movie Anatomy Twitter. We broke 300 followers on the Twitter recently.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. We've been, we're going at a solid clip of about, 2 to 4 followers per
week
episode of the show.
I tell people, I'm like, yeah, our show, it's I think it's about 8 million views now. It's getting close. They're like, oh, really? That's awesome. What's your Twitter? And I'm like, our Twitter is...
Our Twitter is...
I'll mail it to you. I'll send you a letter.
I'll send you a letter. You can find the Twitter at AMA Podcast. We're not as active as we could be, but if you guys are active and you tweet at us, we always get back to
Yes.
you. We like to hear your thoughts. And then personally, if you want to find me, I'm at Ben Bateman Media.
And I am at Andrew Ghai.
And yeah, that's the deal, guys. So we're gonna start the show by queuing up the trailer for Jason Bourne. It's a weird one. Donica, if it's possible, you could start the trailer like 5 seconds after it starts, because it starts with like, it says you know his name, official trailer, and then the trailer starts. It's like, what the hell?
You know his name, official trailer.
Yeah, it's like, it's really weird.
Do you think this is another case where the trailer's better than the movie?
Yeah, I don't even think the trailer's that good. I think we just got really excited because it was Jason Bourne.
Yeah, it's one of those expectations. It's just too much.
I know who I am. When we are finished with you, you'll no longer be yourself.
He must have had to try so hard to like not.
Yeah.
Well, we're finished with you. Well,
Albert, you are incomprehensible.
it's Glenn 18.
Remembering everything doesn't mean you know everything.
Tell me.
Ugh. They both look old when they're hanging out together.
A little bit.
It's just been hacked.
Oh, that's a good.
Could
That's
be
a
worse
good
than
one.
Snowden.
I'll tell you.
Facial recognition got a hit. Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne. Why would it come back now?
What? The trailer is basically just all of the best Bourne cliches.
Yeah, it is.
There's a demonstration in front of the Greek Parliament building.
He never even says Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne in the movie. That's only in the trailer.
He does it?
No, he never does, because they know it's Bourne. When he turns and sees his face, they say we have it.
Oh, I thought he said it. I can't remember. I mean, that guy was his lines were pretty lame.
He didn't say much.
I do love me some Vincent
He's
Cassel.
seen things. He knows things. What if he's not coming for us? What if it's something else?
Let me take point on that.
I volunteered
She's pretty sick.
because of a lie.
He is, but why would they show that? That part's pretty
This is Jason
intense. They
Bourne.
shouldn't show that part.
32 kills. People are safer because of what you did.
Oh yeah, that part was sweet.
That was fucking sweet. Yeah, that was really cool.
You're never gonna find any peace. Not till you admit to yourself who you really are.
This knockout was such bullshit in the movie compared to the trailer. They don't even show that angle in the movie. And
Wait.
then it cut it. Yeah, that's not in the movie.
It's not, right?
It's not.
Okay, because I went to the bathroom at one point during
Yeah.
the movie, and I came back, and afterwards I thought about it, and I was like, there would have really had to be like a location change for me to have missed that part.
You went to the bathroom at the very beginning.
No, like maybe like 20, 25
It's like
minutes.
this shit happens right away. It's like how it opens almost, and the punch isn't anything. It's not even close to as sweet as this.
Oh, is this like literally the opener of
It's
the
the
movie?
opening, yeah.
Oh, I came in like at like 3 minutes after it started.
that was the opener of the movie, and it was not the same punch.
Okay.
And it wasn't even close to as sweet.
Got it.
Because
That makes
this,
sense.
from that angle, is awesome.
Yeah, well, it
His
looks sweet in the trailer. It looks jacked.
Yeah, he looks so jacked.
Yeah.
Just grizzled,
Yeah.
peppered.
Yeah, Damon said that it was much harder training in his 40s for the role, I'm sure. Who's in the chat?
We got Mr. Brockman in here talking about Miss Vikander, which I do love me.
Yeah.
Some Alicia Vikander. And I like that she can be the every woman as well. Alicia, I really enjoy you.
Yeah, that she could be the every woman. That she can be the every woman.
Is that her accent?
That was
I
not
don't
a
think
good
so.
one.
It's more like, yeah, that's not even, let's just
her
move on.
accent?
I just want to move on.
Let's not even talk about that. All right, guys, we're going to get into our first game of the show. This is something we call a thesis statement. This is where we start the show off with a bold thought, something we're going to kind of defend throughout the movie. It's sort of like our definitive, big centerpiece of our opinion on the movie. It should never be rooted in something soft, like this is my favorite Matt Damon movie, or, this has one of the best action scenes I've seen. It should really be like, this is the greatest this, the first this, the last this, the only this. This is the reason this movie is like this. And that's what we start the show with. So I'm going to jump in first, and I'm going to say, the Jason Bourne franchise succeeded in the time it was released because it insisted on taking itself seriously compared to the other action franchises out there. In its fifth installment, the movie's ruined by it insisting on being so serious about taking itself so seriously. It becomes a parody of itself because of that.
So let me see if I can tie that all together. You're basically saying that the best thing about this franchise was that it took itself seriously, but now it takes taking itself seriously too far.
Which is what I think ruins the movie.
Which is what ruins the movie, and I completely agree with you. There's something about those original films and the fact that there were no moments you laughed. You almost never laughed. I don't think you do at all.
Right.
You might now going back because it has like a nostalgia for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, in 5, it's just the cliches are so heavy-handed, and it takes itself too seriously and doesn't feel serious ever.
I mean, I think a lot of our complaints when we did the Bourne Legacy episode on this show, which is an old episode, you guys can go find if you want to check it out. We had an AD on the film in here with us talking about some of the action scenes. But I think with that movie, we all had a feeling that this movie is underwhelming. Like we couldn't figure out why it was so underwhelming. But I think we didn't want to criticize any of what was going on. It was not clear to us at the time that this franchise had aged so much that like we didn't really want to just see the same thing again. And I think there was a sense that we all had that Matt Damon was coming back and Paul Greengrass was returning, that this will feel like it used to feel. The reality is it's been 10 years since Bourne Ultimatum. Bourne Identity to Bourne
Ultimatum was 06?
07.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay.
02 to 07, you had the first 3 movies. I mean, a trilogy over 5 years. At the time, in 2002, we've talked about this a lot. We've now, guys, done all of the Bourne movies on this show. So if you go back to the catalog, you can find Bourne 1, I believe Roxy Streyer's a guest on. I think we have Supremacy and Ultimatum with no guest. And then the Legacy episode, we have Matt Haggerty on.
Yeah.
But at the time, in those 5 years, there was really a sense that, like, 2002 Mission Impossible 2 had come out. It was like so ridiculous, so over the top. It was John Woo. You think about the James Bond movies that were coming out around there, Die Another Day,
right?
And the last 2 Brosnan movies. It was like that era was like leading up to Casino Royale coming out, which was like copying that heavy, dark seriousness. I mean, Mission Impossible 3 tries to be very dark. At the time, that was all a reaction to how successful Jason Bourne had been.
Yeah, I mean, us as action movie fans, we were, and The Matrix, I think, was like, The Matrix and Gladiator were kind of like the turning point a little bit, because those were a few years earlier. Us as action movie fans, we were kind of tired of what we were getting in the 90s and in the late 80s.
Well,
like,
yeah.
we wanted something serious that felt like it had gravity,
right,
and not so much levity. And I think that's why this was so successful then, and that was the turning point.
Well, it's also, and then the other big one is 9/11. I mean, we talked about this with Roca when he came on, did Fifth Element. We were sort of talking about the changeover, the changing of the guard with those action movies. And if you really do look at the kind of action movies that were successful pre 9/11, post 9/11, there was just a sense that, like, national security, real threats, the actual things in the world that we should be worried about. There was a lot of plots became terrorism as opposed to just like a guy that wants money. And that was what dominated the mid 2000s. And so I think a guy that had worked for some like
that's so crazy that whole money thing doesn't happen anymore.
No, it's never like
never a thing.
It's never like Hans Gruber just wants to, that's it. I mean, and that's just what we got in the 2000s. So it's crazy when you think about it. Like, I was noticing one of the major plot points in this movie is that it's so tied into social media. It was like, we're using social media to scan facial recognition
I know,
software.
when she said use social media to scan every area, I was like, come on.
Yeah, well, but that's, I mean, and that's I think how it works with the government now, is if you have some sort of, if you have the access in a program that can do that, I mean, you get so much access to so many people.
I mean, I was reading a review, and Alicia Vikander even says it in the movie, about Dewey living in the past. Like, he's a guy that was the past.
Yeah.
That's kind of what this movie is. This Jason Bourne is the past.
Yeah.
And it's trying to evolve, and it does it poorly.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like a sense, like, and again, guys,
we do like this movie. We're just being, we're doing our jobs.
This is I think my guess is this the last time we'll ever see Matt Damon as Jason Bourne.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to jump in real quick then and just give you my thesis.
Okay, yeah.
I think that this movie is the nail in the coffin on the Matt Damon Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
I think maybe if somehow Renner's sequel is incredibly successful, they might do another one of those and then bring him back like old when he's in his 50s.
Well, I mean, we'll definitely see a movie eventually if they do a Renner one with the two of them together.
Yeah, because they've talked about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, as for solo Matt Damon, Jason Bourne,
yeah,
I think this is the nail in the coffin for it, because
big time.
I mean, you and I love this franchise.
Love it.
We adore it.
Yeah.
I love Matt Damon, and I like Greengrass, and I think maybe I miss Gilroy. I think that's might be what it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll talk about that a little bit, the production development, and the writing, and all that, because there were some changes in this movie. It's a little different than the previous installments, but yeah, I think it's just when you think about how much time had passed since that last movie, because that original trilogy is a really fantastic trilogy.
Oh, it's very good.
I mean, you think about in Return of the Jedi, which gets criticized by a lot of people in the original trilogy as the worst of the three. It's that first scene when Han sees Luke, and he's like, it's something like, just another day or something like that. There's some really like dry line. It's delivered sarcastically, but I've heard people say before that like they were just tired. They didn't really want to see each other. They didn't really want to do the movie, but they did. And that first scene that he and Julia Stiles like look at each other, I literally thought like they look at each other, and I wanted one of them to be like, "You look old," and they'd be like, "You do too."
You look older.
Yeah, like that's kind of what.
Let's go get murdered.
That's kind of what it felt like. It was like we're both doing our best to look like we're close to the ages we were last time we played these roles, but like.
They look older, like a lot. Like Damon, the whole
been
movie,
10 years.
They have a black eye on him.
Yeah,
which I think was a bad choice.
Yeah,
I just made him look older than he needed to with that black eye the whole time. My other thesis is that this is the worst use of shaky cam in a movie ever.
Yeah, it kind of ruined it for you.
Excuse me. Yes, it did, and the reason is because I don't mind shaky cam. I don't get sick from it. I thought Cloverfield was sweet.
Yeah.
Like I think it can really add to movies. I was talking to Jeff, our coordinator out there, our weekly coordinator, and he was saying that he loved it in Captain Phillips. But in this movie, especially in the first huge chase scene on the bike and the action scenes, it just takes away.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like, okay, well, instead of making this a precise, an incredibly well executed action scene, we're gonna make it a little loose, and we can shake the camera when things happen. So maybe that car crash didn't have to go as fast as it would have if we were just on a still camera. Maybe the fight doesn't have to be as clean as it would have if we were just sitting there still watching it. I felt like it took me out of the movie.
You know, something I was thinking about when you were talking about the shaky cam stuff, because he's been doing that since Supremacy. He's really been doing that his whole career.
It's his trademark.
Yeah. So when you think about a musician, right? Think about like an artist. Like a good example. I'm a fan of '90s music, guys. So I love the Goo Goo Dolls. That's like a band I like.
He just went and saw them.
But their new album is good, actually. I'm not even kidding. Like most people have no idea they've even released music since like the mid 2000s. Yeah. But like it's a good album. Now the point is, it sounds exactly like it did 10 years ago. It sounds exactly like it did 15 to 20 years ago. They had success at one period in the 90s because their sound was what it was. They're not the kind of band or artists that are going to evolve and reinvent themselves album to album.
Yeah.
Greengrass is a director who, just like Tony Scott got caught with his sort of like very stylized, filter-heavy movie making, there was a lot of love for his shaky cam stuff when Supremacy came out, when Ultimatum came out. He had a stretch of movies that people really wanted to see. Sometimes when you have a characteristic, a signature characteristic, the world will latch onto it for a period of time because it's very fresh and new. Just because the world moves on doesn't mean the artist moves on.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of David Bowies out there. There's not a lot of Madonna. There's not a lot of people that actually continually reinvent their style. Movie makers that come out and do something different. You know, Danny Boyle's a director who comes out.
Oh yeah, I mean Danny Boyle, Cameron, and Spielberg. I mean, you got to be one of the greats. You really have to be one of the greats to evolve with the times, or else you're not one of the greats.
Yeah, and these people that reinvent themselves, like that's the trademark of a great director.
Yep.
And I think it's nothing against Greengrass that his successes haven't been great. It's just that like I didn't need to see Jason Bourne with shaky cam in 2016.
No,
it just didn't need to be that. And so I think that's kind of an interesting thing to notice is that like some people are able to evolve and others aren't. And just because we've evolved doesn't mean that he still loves what he does.
Yeah.
Just the same, the Goo Goo Dolls still love their sound. They're going to write music the same way because it worked in the past, so why wouldn't it still work?
And at the end of the day, it's like you're not trying to make a name for yourself anymore. You've already made a name for yourself, so do what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on from Thesis Statement, guys, let's get into Fist Pump Moment. This is that moment in the movie, something happens, you're watching it, you kind of look around, you're like, is anybody else seeing this right now? This is fucking awesome. I just want to keep watching this movie. This is great. It can be anything. It can be a moment where, like, Baldwin and Anthony Hopkins are like, Charles, I don't feel quite 100% Charles on the edge. It can be a telling look between a father and son. It can be a headshot, title music, anything you want. That's just kind of what we do. It's just like a fuck yeah.
Anything you just like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Last night for me, my fist pump. I was in a theater with like 9 people because I went and saw it at 10:30 at night on a Tuesday, excuse me. And for some reason, this couple wanted to sit right next to me.
Yeah.
Kind of annoyed. Whatever. There was so many open seats. I thought about moving, but I was like, whatever. I'm exhausted. I'm just not gonna move.
Yeah.
There was only one point in the whole movie where I was like, God, I wish I could just lean over and be like, isn't that pretty cool, man? I was like happy they were there.
Yeah.
And it was every time Vincent Cassel, specifically when he bulldozes all the cars, every time he pushed the gas on that SWAT car and like the black cloud of smoke came out, it was just sweet. Like the sound and the chaos and it was shot well for the most part. It was just... It was awesome, and I love Vincent Cassel, so I think that was my fist pump moment. Just that, the car chase scenes are also... That's a signature Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
And this one was pretty sweet.
Definitely. Definitely. I thought, like, that was definitely one of my favorite moments. I really like the moment where Vikander and Tommy Lee Jones have, like, they're warring operations going on, and Tommy Lee Jones is just, like, taking out agents.
Oh, I know.
He's just, like, and you're, like, watching, you're like, this is sweet, except, like, wait a minute. He's just killing agents to, like, get her in trouble or something?
Yeah.
But I like Tommy Lee Jones. He's just like... You're gonna have to clean this up. You're gonna have to clean this up, honey. Like you're doing something wrong.
Such a dick in
He's
that
just such
moment.
a dick, and I love that he had on like the headpiece, but he was also like talking into a microphone.
Yeah,
whereas the kid's just like, you're old. You don't have to talk into the mic if you have on the headpiece.
It's 2 different lines.
Yeah.
That was oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was like pretty entertaining.
He was so nonchalant in everything he said.
Yeah, he's just
Find him.
He's great. I mean, he fills the role of old, wrinkly white guy in suit gunning for Jason Bourne well.
Dude, his bags under his eyes that have become like plateaus.
Yeah.
Pretty intense.
Pretty intense.
Him and Vincent Cassel, they got that going on. They need to have a competition.
Big TLJ fan.
Big TLJ
We were
fan.
on the verge, guys, of actually doing U.S. Marshals on this show, which is a movie that Andrew has like such a disproportionate commitment to.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just, I just love it.
One of those movies. It was on one of those VHS tapes for me when I was a kid.
Sure, yeah.
So, yeah, I do love U.S. Marshals.
How does
I mean,
it feel to be free? Righteous.
That's the line.
That's
yeah.
the line.
Yeah.
That's the
We
line.
almost don't even need to do the episode because you've said that so many times on the show.
every time.
I think that qualifies as my fist pump moment. I mean, I think other than that, I did like the bike chase, even though the shaky cam was a little much.
I like the bike chase. The thing for me was the shooting from overhead.
Yeah.
Was just like, this is a movie. This is what a B-roll on a movie looks like. Is like when we watch B-rolls in movies, that's exactly what it looked like, because everything was kind of slowed down when you're shooting from aerial with that wide of a shot.
Yeah.
You can kind of see everything that's going on in it. It's just it made it not feel like I was in the movie. I was watching a production.
Right.
In that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
right.
So that is fist pump moment, guys. Let's move on to the next bit of the show. But you know what? Before we do, just because we were talking about it between the two things, with the hallmarks of the franchise, fist pump moment, I'd like to do something. We're going to come up with 5 to 10 cliches. This won't be a traditional top 5, guys. This is just going to be kind of a game we play. So if you're in the live chat and you want to think about things to add, or tweet at us again at AMA Podcast, 5 to 10 Bourne cliches. Because at this point, when I was watching this movie, I really felt like I was watching a... what are you smiling about?
I'm smiling about what you're saying because I'm thinking about it, and I'm also looking at what Max is saying. He's like, I'm probably not going to watch this movie in theaters. I'll download it illegally.
Yeah.
Fair.
Good for you. Good for you, Brockman.
Good for you, boy.
So we like talking about like the 5 to 10 cliches that, like, because when I was watching this movie, I literally felt like I was watching a parody of a Bourne movie within 5 minutes of watching it.
Yeah.
Everything that was happening, I was just like, guys, I've seen this not just once, but I've seen this like 4 times, and like everything that seemed cool in the earlier movies, you're just going back to the well.
It's
you're just
tired.
Yeah, but like in a hilarious way in some ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll take care of him.
Yeah.
All right, let's split. Like,
Yeah.
he knows they saw him. He knows
Yeah.
he's looking right at him. He knows
Yeah.
that now they're going to chase him. It's just like, because he's done it in every single movie where he
Yeah.
turns and he stares at a camera and someone goes, Jesus Christ, that's Jason
Jesus
Bourne.
Christ.
Oh my God, that's Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
That's Jason Bourne.
Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne. Yeah, that's definitely a big one.
That's a good one.
One of my favorites is the 2-second phone call. It's the guy that picks up the phone and someone's like, Bourne's on the move. He's got an operation in Africa. Hangs the phone up. It's just like no answer, nothing. Like,
And then he hangs up. He's like, oh fuck, I forgot to ask which part of Africa.
yeah, exactly. Bourne's making a move. Hang up. And then the next thing's like, we've had a breach. How bad? Not so bad. I want a briefing on my desk in the conference room in 1 hour. Where's my lunch? It's like,
Best thing is he gets off the phone and it's just like him texting for like 45 minutes trying to figure out what's going on.
yeah.
The other one, you're a patriot, son. Come back. Like just something with Albert Finney not making sense to make sense. Like the whole thing of just like this guy in the white, this talking suit says
Yeah.
that this thing's gonna happen, so it's gonna happen. So Alicia Vikander bases everything off of 3 lines of dialogue that she read.
All my 18 is a false imperial Scotch to deliver to you. I can't understand though. Do you have any more crab cakes?
What about every train, airport, bus, terminal in the world just being an arsenal of spiced shit?
They're always exotic European ones, though. It's,
Yeah.
it's never like. I mean, the fact that this was in Vegas at the end was
Yeah.
like so different. It's always like Berlin, Croatia,
Always.
like someplace like
There's like
that.
that place in the beginning. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Like Regiak or something.
Some city you've never heard of. All the cars are always like European luxury cars.
And they all have the biggest motors.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
everywhere they're going.
Absolutely. What else? What are the other?
There's so many good ones. I wonder if I wrote any down.
Yeah.
Because like that is one of those things when I was watching the movie I noticed. I was like, what about this?
Agent. Oh, you have no idea who you're dealing with. Yeah, that's that's a good one, right? Yeah.
That's said in every single movie.
Stressing to someone else how dangerous Jason Bourne is.
Right.
I missed Pam Landy.
I actually really do. Like
Yeah.
she was a bitch, but that
Yeah.
was what was great about her.
She's great.
And she was so good at her job.
Yeah.
Pam Landy needed to be there. What about just like recreating the number 2 Bourne supremacy
Plotline?
killing of the wife. Yeah.
Exactly. The same movie. I was reading something talking about how derivative this movie is of the second movie. The fact that they go to Berlin, kill the female character at the beginning of the movie,
With the sniper from behind when they're trying to kill Jason Bourne.
spend the whole movie being tracked by an asset with like a rogue faction of the government against like an agent who thinks they're doing the right thing. It's
Yep.
like kind of the same movie as the second movie in a lot of
the
ways.
exact same.
Why wasn't Brian Cox just Tommy Lee Jones? Just recast him and call him someone else.
Wait, weren't you in the second? No.
Cox is just back.
Like fatter and more disgruntled than ever.
Pam Landy, still my favorite moment in Supremacy. What do you know about Jason Bourne? Never heard of him, Pam. It's just
Make me a
like
sandwich.
Cox is just a fucking champion. Just the best.
In all the way down to the way that Tommy Lee and Brian Cox, the way they deliver the lines, are the exact same.
Oh yeah, sorry.
We lost him, sir. We better find him. Like in this movie.
Yeah, old talking head white guy in a suit.
That can't be phased by anything.
Yeah, that's definitely a. Oh, this is a good one. Iron Hand. So,
God.
So yeah, you have Treadstone Black by Iron Hand, but there's the scene where she's looking at the 10.
Yeah,
and
Spearfish.
Spearfish
That was a good one.
Lynx, Spearfish, Sapphire or something like
Horse.
that. You just have to think of like ominous, like every one of them could be the name of like a new superhero.
Or like a floor in a hotel.
They all would have been superheroes from like Image Comics in like 1992. Bloodhawk, Shadow Demon, Lynx, Sapphire,
Iron Fist.
Blackbriar. Yeah.
Yeah. Iron Hand. Excuse me.
Iron Hand.
Iron Fist is a thing.
Iron Hand is that's a character in a comic book. You could Iron Hand.
Which one is he?
No, I'm saying you could just make that up.
He's got iron hands.
Yeah, done. Fuck. Yeah. So, anyways, all right, that's enough.
Yeah, let's move on to star profiles here.
Excellent. Anybody in the chat just being, guys, shut the fuck up. I like this movie.
Oh, here we go. Bourne cliche. Someone jumping from a really high height and landing like totally whatever about it.
Yeah, completely.
Like that happened.
Yeah.
In the trailer, it happened.
Did you
he
see
falls
the-
off a 5-story roof and onto concrete.
Did you see the Late Show James Corden sketch with James Corden as his stunt double?
No.
He
Sounds fantastic.
It's like a ripoff of the old Ben Stiller as Tom Cruise from Mission
Right.
Impossible 2 sketch. It's like the same thing, but
Jeff Gordon's fat.
Yeah.
And hilarious.
Yeah, James
I
Corden.
guess Stiller is too. James Corden. Jeff Gordon.
James Corden just being like, I think we look the same. We look just the same, right? And Damon's like, yeah, we look the same. And then he's like, takes the punch in the face. And he's like, good work, good work.
Good job.
He's like, you have to jump from this building. Aim for the dumpster.
That's great. All right, so let's talk about these guys and their careers. It's very interesting because they're both kind of... Alicia's like top B, lower A. I mean, she's an Academy Award winner. But a lot of people still don't know who she is.
Yeah,
like
true.
in Middle America, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
My mom doesn't know who she is.
Yeah.
But she's massive, and she's on her way up.
She's as hot as far as women in movies. She's as hot as it gets right now.
Yeah,
she's one of the
she's
hottest.
crushing
I mean,
it.
look at this. Every one of these movies is from 2015.
And they're all... Everyone knows about them. You got Ex Machina, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., The Danish Girl, which she won an Academy Award for, and then Burnt, which is the Bradley Cooper movie.
Which got good reviews, I think.
It wasn't bad. So you're looking at massive films, which she is a big part of. She's going through the roof.
She's probably like 26.
Yeah, I think she's 26, 28, something like that.
So she's just right in that, like, she's just hitting it.
She's exactly where you want to be as a young female actress in Hollywood. Now, Matt Damon, on the other hand, I'm wondering, because he still has, I mean, you still look at his movies, they're great. You got The Monuments Men with Clooney, you got Interstellar, and you got The Martian, which he was nominated for, and did he win the Golden Globe? He did.
Might have won the Golden Globe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Martian was fantastic. That movie was great. I love Interstellar. He's the least necessary part of that movie. Like,
Yeah.
He's like he wasn't even billed. He was a surprise character.
Yeah, it was just one of those things, like, that's how I felt about Vincent Cassel. I didn't even know he was in this.
Oh yeah.
But in Interstellar, it was one of those. I kind of think it was just to serve the purpose of, like, we need an action scene right now. We need some sort of conflict for people, or else they're going to get too detached. But I do agree. I don't think that he served the purpose, or for me, he didn't serve any purpose in that film.
It was just like it was just one of those weird things. But I mean, that movie is awesome.
It's good. My question, though, is,
Monuments Men was a giant travesty. Like, huge cast and just failed.
do you think? Because what I also want to put on here is The Great Wall. Which, did you see the trailer for the Great? Oh, you said you came in late, a little bit late.
Yeah, but I saw it online this morning.
Okay, so what's happening to Damon's career? Is he, because he's still at the top,
He's still an A. Yeah.
but is he declining right now?
I mean, Damon is like, I think in this kind of No.
You don't think so?
Well, no, because Martian was last year, and The Martian was one of the best reviewed movies of the whole year. I mean,
I completely agree with you, but what I'm saying is that with the trajectory that it seems that his career's taking, with Jason Bourne kind of flopping, that franchise dying, then he's got The Great Wall, which is, I'm sure, a contractual like follow up to doing whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm saying it now, and I could be completely wrong, and I'd be
Yeah.
happy about it. I think this is the beginning of a slow decline.
Yeah.
That might last maybe a decade, and then he can be reborn as an
Interesting.
older actor.
I think he's too smart as a producer. I think he's too involved in the projects that he's involved in to actually have a decline. And,
Right.
And like, I mean, this movie is flopping critically, but definitely not financially.
it's doing well.
So when we said we expect there won't be another Jason Bourne movie, like there may be another Jason Bourne movie just because it made so much money.
They made another Jack Reacher.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, Great Wall got a lot of flack for the whole like important white person saving indigenous culture trope. But I mean, I just think Matt Damon's a smart dude. He's like he must be mid 40s now. Must be like 45, 46. He's sort of like in that age where he's going to kind of look about the same age for the next like 5 to 10 years. He won't reach the next phase of like playing the dad for like another decade.
Right.
He can't play like young anymore, really. You know, it was a little weird when they tried to do the flashback scenes with him in this movie.
Yeah.
He didn't look like he was 21 in those
He
scenes.
just didn't talk.
Yeah, he has 45 fucking lines in this movie. He doesn't talk ever.
No.
He says nothing in the whole movie.
I thought it was so weird in the flashback scene with his dad. The whole time his dad's talking, he just like sits there and stares at him.
Yeah.
He doesn't say one thing.
Right.
And he just leaves. Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I agree. I really do. I mean, I think Matt Damon's a genius, and you've seen it since he came out of college writing Good Will Hunting and what he's done with his career since then. For me, it just feels like he might be tiring himself out.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, he doesn't strike me as the kind of star that that's going to care all that much. Like, I think he's very involved in like charitable causes, the Clean Water Project. Like, he's just a guy that, like, I think if his star started to fade, the only thing I think he's kind of like Leo a little bit in that way, where he's like so involved in charity and like bigger picture things. I mean, I don't know, honestly, Leo wouldn't care, but I just feel like Damon would just kind of be like, it's movies, guys.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's over.
Who cares?
It's done. I already made some of the greatest movies that anyone's ever seen.
The world's way more important than Hollywood.
Yeah.
I like to use my platform to help the world, you know. But at the same time, like, The Martian was fucking huge. This movie was one of the biggest promoted movies of the whole year. The Great Wall is a big picture. Like, he's involved in big stuff, and he'll just continue to be involved in big stuff.
Don't get me wrong. I love me some Damon. Now, what I want to move on to here in production development is Greengrass is the first name on all three sections. Written by, directed by, produced by.
Yeah.
And you and I both love Gilroy.
So Tony Gilroy, for those of you that don't know, is the writer of the first 4 Bourne movies. He also directed the 4th Bourne movie, which is the one with Jeremy Renner. Mm-hmm. He's also the writer of Michael Clayton, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. He's decorated. He's written incredible stuff. One of the tightest writers you can think of.
Yeah, exactly. Like that is the best word. Is like the tightest, cleanest, most efficient writers out there. Like every scene is quick. That's what it was. Is they tried to write like Gilroy, but he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So he'd get a phone call like Tony, Matt Damon, or Jason Bourne. Hang up, because he didn't know what to write.
Yeah.
So they just recreated the tone without filling it with a dialogue that made it important.
Well, the two guys are Paul Greengrass and Chris Rouse. Chris Rouse, for those that don't know, is a frequent collaborator of Paul Greengrass, but as an editor. He was the editor He was the editor on like a bunch of Greengrass's earlier movies, United 93, Captain Phillips. He's also a producer on this. It's his first producing credit.
Do you think it's one of those things where it's like
his first writing credit?
Yeah, it's like, I want to do my own thing. You can kind of hop on board and get some credit, and maybe you can put in some input, but it's going to be my deal.
Maybe. I mean, he's written some things, but like, again, like Greengrass is a super smart dude. We've covered this a lot before. He's very politically opinionated, very, very well known in the British government for, I believe, writing a book that exposed a lot of things about MI6, which a book that was banned in the United Kingdom.
Because it was just too accurate.
Yeah, and he's a smart dude. He's made very interesting movies, and at his peak is a great director. It's just that this movie was derivative, and the fact that it's like written by him and his former editor, and it just was like, I don't know, it felt a little sloppy, a little lazy to me.
It felt a little lazy, yeah. And we've seen laziness come through and pay off, like Gladiator. Look at a movie like that where the writer and the lead actor just can't stand each other, and they're rewriting on set day of. that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, that's not how this formula works. It can, apparently it can. It's
can
like striking
work.
gold or oil.
Yeah.
But, you know, it didn't work in this case. And I think this movie really, really suffers from not having that other strong writer.
Yeah.
You know, and you say that he only has 43 lines or whatever, then those 43 lines could have been so much more effective, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, directed by Greengrass, written by Greengrass, produced by Greengrass, Matt Damon, and Frank Marshall. Matt Damon, obviously, he's a producer on this movie.
He's got all the money in the world.
Yeah, Frank Marshall is one of the legendary producers. He's been behind massive, massive franchises, Jurassic Park and
Congo, Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
You know,
huge. I mean,
He's huge.
Yeah, Frank Marshall's like one of those guys. He's one of like those top 5, top 10 guys. So yeah, as far as production on this movie goes, I mean, it was announced. I want to say that I know the trailer it came out during Super Bowl 50. I remember we were very excited about it.
Very excited.
Yeah, I mean they put in the time. You know, it took 5 weeks to shoot that scene in Vegas. The car chase scene. They would shoot only at night. I mean, they were very committed to it. You know, Damon gets back in sick shape for this movie.
Yeah, and that's another big thing is like this movie costs a lot of money, and they use that money to do things that they didn't do in the old ones, which is like take you to the heart of Las Vegas, the heart of New York, the heart of Chicago, like in the middle of LA, where it's incredibly expensive and a pain in the ass to shoot in.
Yeah.
So like bringing it to Vegas was interesting and it was different, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
You know,
for
and,
sure.
and the fact that they spent 5 weeks shooting it, it shows in that scene.
And they drive the car through the casino, which is
Yeah,
pretty sick.
that was super
They
cool.
wrecked 170 cars during filming. This
Yeah,
movie.
I mean-
170 cars.
I would want that SWAT car truck.
Yeah, I'll bet you do.
I do. All right, so should we get into critical and box office?
Yeah, let's do it.
So this is interesting. This was released by Universal this last week for $120 million at the budget. It's already grossed just on the weekend. It was $65 million domestic, 50 worldwide, and 116 total. So it's almost made its money back already.
Yeah.
You know, it opening weekend it made $60 million domestically. I just said that. I don't know why I repeated myself. So you're right, man. I mean, you really are right. I could be completely wrong in the sense that they might just make more Jason Bournes with Matt Damon because it's already made its money back in 4 days.
Is it
3
a little?
days.
Is it a little weird for us to realize that the generation of action heroes that we grew up watching, those guys, the Willises, the Cages, most of those guys, the star has fallen. You know, even the dramatic actors from that generation, the De Niro's, Pacinos,
Yeah.
they've aged out. Their star has fallen, and they're not the box office draw they once were. And like younger generations don't care. Is it a little weird to start to realize that like
That
Matt
we're getting
Damon,
old?
Ben Affleck, like guys that were like kids, they were like in their 20s making movies when we were growing up watching movies. They're getting into their like mid to late 40s. They're transitioning into the like Tom Cruise he's gonna be mid 50s soon.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, these are guys that were like prime time movie stars when we were
Young,
kids.
hot, like new, fresh on the scene.
Yeah, and like they're starting to age out. They're starting to age out of being that guy. They're getting to the second phase where they're gonna have to be, you know, the 50+ leading man.
Yeah.
It's just like I think it's a little crazy to start to realize that.
And it also changes up the game because when you're younger and you're hot, there's not a lot of them.
No.
You know, there's like a lot of up and comers, but if you're like the guy, if you're the Goslings and the Hardys and
Yeah.
the Damons of the world and the Cruises in their prime, no one wants anyone else.
No, there's like 5 of you.
Right. But when you get into your 50s, all the greats,
Yeah.
when you were growing up, are also in their 50s and 60s. And we all know that men age pretty well.
Yeah.
So once you hit that age where you look like you can play the old dad,
Yeah.
you can do that for like 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, so like then you're competing, like Matt Damon soon will be competing with roles against, you know, like Costner or someone, you know what I mean? Or the
Yeah.
Cruises out there, or the same way that Pacino and De Niro are competing, they had to compete with Redford and
Hackman
and all that,
Yeah.
you know, for that small part of their career. So, I mean, it is interesting. We're getting older, man.
Yeah, it's strange. Wild to watch. Matt Damon's getting into the young dad. He's getting into dad mode soon.
He's total dad mode.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already played young dad.
Yeah.
Critically, this movie's at a 7.2, which IMDb I'm shocked with.
Yes.
Really. And I know how you feel.
Never surprised.
I am in this one because like I do agree with you with the 250 a lot of the, I mean, no. But the 7.2 is it's very high because you look at the juxtaposition of Rotten Tomatoes, all critics, top critics, audience respectively, 57, 52, 66.
Yeah.
So it does follow our little formula, but 66 out of a Jason Bourne movie is unheard of.
This is going to be one of his highest grossing movies. Donica, would you mind blowing up the top 10 there for me? Just I'm a little blind so I can read this. You know, his highest grossing movie of all time is technically Interstellar, but it's not a Matt Damon movie. So his highest grossing movie is The Martian. These are worldwide numbers, so they're unadjusted. Saving Private Ryan, the fact that's still competitive is impressive. But as you start to get down here, you look at number 12 is Bourne Identity at 214 million worldwide. I mean, this movie in its opening weekend already has 116.
Yeah.
This is going to be, unless this movie completely falls off a cliff, I'm expecting this will end up somewhere in top 6 of his highest grossing movies. It'll be, I mean, Bourne Ultimatum made 442.
For worldwide unadjusted, I could see that happening. Definitely in the top 10.
I think this will make more than 300. So I think you're expecting this will be probably right around number 5 or 6. I don't expect this to make $500 million. I
don't either.
But I mean, it could. If it makes $500 million, it'll be his second highest grossing movie of all time. I wouldn't be that surprised, honestly.
I wouldn't either, because you've got numerous generations to appeal to. But yeah, I mean, he's Matt Damon. It's Jason Bourne. Of course, it's going to make money. We will see the drop off though next week. I'm interested, especially because of Suicide Squad.
Yeah, which is getting pretty mixed reviews.
Oh, it's getting destroyed.
Yeah,
which I'm hoping that it's enjoyable. But honestly, when reviews come out and they kind of crap on things that you're super excited about, like yesterday, it sucks. But there is the one nice thing that your expectation gets lowered. So for all you guys, again, Ben and I don't hate this movie at all. We like this movie. We think that the franchise is declining, clearly, but we still love it. So maybe by watching this show, you go and you watch the movie with a little bit lower expectations and you can enjoy it more than we did.
And like all of the things that we're sitting here laughing about, the cliches and the lines, like it's enjoyable to watch.
Those are the things we love. Yeah,
exactly. So we're not laughing about those things because they suck. We're laughing about those things because they're things that we actually like. They like those cliches are things that made the movie fun for me.
Yeah.
As a Jason Bourne fan.
And I pulled reviews again. I haven't done that in a while. I'll start with this guy, Barry Hertz.
No, they both have easily pronounceable names.
I know. He gave a rotten review and he said, sure, Jason Bourne has all the hallmarks of a story. There are characters who are involved in the scenes, and those scenes indicate the forward march of time, but nothing here actually matters. And Marissa Serafini, who we work with here at the studio, that's kind of what she told me yesterday before going and seeing it, that you do a lot of the same walking and going and sneaking and espionage and blah, 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 but nothing actually really happens in this movie. The story doesn't move forward whatsoever.
It's the same as Bourne Supremacy.
Yeah, I mean, we already know you've been betrayed by your government, dude.
Yeah.
Why are you surprised that they lied to you about your dad?
Did you find it at all, like, surprising that Julia Stiles, like, she, like, I just didn't think that she would, like, go out of her way to try to get back involved in some shit.
Like, go off the grid, get involved, and then just die. And he's like, the guy's like, she knew the risks of getting involved.
Yeah, it's like, why?
Like, no, why?
Because it was different with you, Jason. She was, I mean, no shade, because I like Julia Stiles.
Just say it.
She was terrible in this movie.
She was just flat.
Her line
one
deliveries were appallingly bad.
There was no inflection, no tone change, no anything.
No, nothing.
Like changing of pattern of speech. Like, yeah, it was actually really shocking.
Yeah.
I think she was just like, whatever, just give me the money. I don't care. This character, I never thought I was gonna come back to this fucking franchise. It's been 20 years.
Yeah, right. Like it's nuts that she. And this is the biggest thing she ever did in her whole career was the Bourne franchise. She's featured in 4 fucking Bourne movies.
Yeah, Save the Last Dance.
And Save the Last Dance. And Othello. Was she in Othello?
She was in
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Was it?
That's a good movie.
Is it?
That was a good movie. Yeah, absolutely.
The truth comes out.
Shakespeare. You want to get the other review from Jake here?
Yeah, Jake Coyle.
just said
Coyle from Associated Press says, even when Jason Bourne doesn't click with the same rhythm as its predecessors, it has a weight that outclasses nearly every other big action movie around. Now that is true.
That is exactly why I pulled it, because you and I talk about this all the time.
Yeah. This movie's entertaining. And I have to think that if you watched this movie and you didn't know that there had been 4 others, you'd be entertained. The action's pretty sweet. Like, he's a badass. There's cool stuff.
Yep.
If this doesn't feel derivative to you because you haven't seen all the other movies a bunch of times like we have, then maybe this movie's better.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those movies.
Well,
right?
that's the thing, of course. And I think the reason why is that we talk about how hard it is to make a good action movie anymore.
Yeah.
We don't get them that often. And even the ones that we find ourselves enjoying, they're not good in the same way as the old ones were.
Yeah.
Like Equalizer, Reacher, John Wick, Taken, those aren't enjoyable the same way the first time you saw Casino Royale or Bourne Identity or MI3. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, they just don't take themselves as seriously or something, or it's just too hard, or it's all been done.
Yeah,
What is it?
it's something. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, Taken and John Wick are the Hallmark movies of the new generation because they're so like outrageous and ridiculous, but they're fun, and they, like you said, they're a little tongue in cheek. Like they know what they are, so you get to go in with a different expectation. And for whatever reason, it makes them like awesome on sort of awesome on a level that, like, I don't know, like The Matrix is just it's different. The Matrix is just awesome in a completely different way, in a classic way. John Wick's a classic, but of a different kind. The Equalizer. It's something about I don't know what it is. It's just something. I mean, I guess if you think about those '80s movies that we like, all the silly Schwarzenegger and Stallone movies,
Right.
Commando, or even like Predator. Those movies are silly and ridiculous, and they don't take themselves that seriously either.
Is there like a 20-year paradigm or shift in action movies? From 80 to 2000, you think about what you got.
Yeah.
You think about 2000 to 2016 and what you got.
Yeah.
Maybe we're about to shift again. Maybe we're about to go back to more tongue-in-cheek or more like 90s over the top, or maybe what's the next shift in action movies? Because I feel like people are getting tired of what we've been getting for the last 16 years, things that take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just like maybe we just don't care about spies anymore, so we're all doing superheroes. It's just we're in a really weird time in action movies, and we talk about this because the movies that came out that looked like what we wanted to do were like the 13 Hours in
Yeah.
Benghazi, and Sicario looked like one of those.
Yeah.
Those look like movies of what we think is going to be good, but they're all right.
Yeah.
I
heard Sicario was sweet.
it was pretty sweet. I think it got hyped for me too much, but I love Benicio and Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
Blunt.
Anyway, I'm rambling, but I just think it's a really weird point in action movies right now.
Let's
That's all.
talk about speaking of sort of the action movies and just movies in general over that last stretch, the ones that have had success for sustained periods of time. Let's throw out a quick top five movies that have 5 or more franchise sequels. So 5 or more movies total in the franchise. This doesn't just have to be action movies.
Right.
We talked about this a little bit, but let's throw out a list and see what we can come up with. I'll start it off by throwing in. I'm gonna go with Star Wars to start it out with.
Okay.
4 good movies, 3 bad movies, and I think it's safe to say those are all bad movies. 1 through 3. I guess 3 has some good moments. 1 has Darth Maul. I've seen the Phantom recut, which is like the 2-hour and 40-minute version that cuts almost the entire second movie out. And
right.
It's a 1, 2, and 3 cut together. The end of 3. Anakin, I have the higher ground.
You were my brother.
You were supposed to be the chosen one.
I loved you.
That part's pretty sweet.
That is awesome.
Yeah. It's got the thing where it's got that really cool shot where they're on like that like balancing beam. And they do the one thing with the lightsabers. And it's the background. That's really cool.
Yeah. That scene's awesome.
Yeah, I kind of want to go watch it.
I watched it the other day. Yeah, just the scene.
All right, so Star Wars will be add your thoughts in, guys.
Yeah, please. I'm gonna pull the thing right back up. I just got to look at my list here. Rocky.
Yeah,
Gotta go Rocky.
Solid choice.
I mean, 1 is, it's what started everything. Considered one of the greatest of all time. 2 is very good, but it's overlooked. For me, 3 and 4 are what do it for me. Like, those were the ones that growing up I watched dozens of times.
Yeah.
5 is forgettable and atrocious.
Tommy Gunn. Rocky Balboa, there's a man outside that wants to talk to you. The Don,
I don't remember any of it.
the Don King guy.
Is it?
It's straight up Don King clone.
And he's just that in the movie.
Yeah, and then Rocky has to beat up Tommy Gunn in the street. He fights street
The
style.
fight, yeah.
Rocky 5's really bad. That's a bad movie.
And then you got Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
And you got Creed. So I think it's got to be one of the greatest, especially with 5 or more.
Definitely, 100%. I mean, I think Rocky's a total classic. I recommend anybody that loves Rocky to go watch our Rocky 4 episode we did.
Yes.
Jason Smith from Fox Sports comes on with us and hangs out. There's some great top 5 Rocky 4 soundtrack songs that's on that episode. Swedish Victory.
That is one of the greatest moments on this show.
Yeah,
that is such a fun episode.
Yeah, it's a good one. All right, I'll jump in with my next one. I'm going to go ahead and throw out Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible, a franchise that has 5 enjoyable movies, 3 of which are really, really good.
Yeah.
And, I mean, 1 is like, I've shit on 1.
Yeah, you're not a fan of 1, but a lot of people love it.
Because I shit on De Palma a lot. But like 1 is not as bad as I make it out to be. I just think it's like a pretty overrated movie. But it does have the hanging from the ceiling Classic scene with Jean Reno, which is great. It has a couple scenes
John
that are...
Voight's good in it.
Yeah, John Voight's good. Like, yeah, it's just like Mission Impossible classic stuff. It has the gum. Like, it just has like a lot of stuff that's very, very
gum.
memorable. Yeah.
Love that. I'm going to take a left turn and go Texas Chainsaw.
Has there really been 5?
There's been like so many of them, and a lot of them aren't good, but some of them are great. Like the original one is super enjoyable. The Jessica Biel one is terrifying. Anytime
very attractive.
She's very attractive, but that movie is just straight up fucking scary. And anytime there's a new one, I always want to go see it. You know that I'm a horror movie fan.
time.
Texas Chainsaw just has a place in my heart. A lot of people are Jason and Freddy guys. I am a Texas Chainsaw.
I will go Jason. I will go with the Bourne franchise as one of the 5. So
Yeah.
I think the Bourne franchise is a totally fair, like, 1, 2, and 3 are a really wonderful trilogy. Even though I think 2 is like kind of just like a nothing movie.
Yeah.
In the context of 1, 2, and 3 together, they're really, really great.
And 4, we've said that if it was just a standalone action movie, it would have been awesome.
Yeah, 4 is really cool. It's just like your expectations so wrong with that movie.
Yes.
And then I do think 5 misses the boat a little bit, but it's enjoyable enough. And Bourne is still sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to watch this movie every time it's on cable.
Yeah,
I'm sure I will.
100%.
Batman, right?
Yeah,
Gotta go Batman.
totally.
I mean, 1 and 2, I was a little too young to watch in theaters, but I watched them as soon as I got like 5 or 6. Loved them. I saw 3 and 4 in theaters, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Completely blown away. Like, I remember leaving and I was just like,
away.
Yeah, I looked to my sister, was like, that was really, really good. When we left, she was like, yeah, it was fun, you know. And she's like 15 years older than me.
Real quick, highlight moment from Batman Forever for you.
Batman Forever, I think it's Tommy Lee Jones. Just everything about him. Like, I think it's Tommy Lee Jones trying to act like Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
His face and his... What about you?
TLJ. I was gonna go my highlight from Batman and Robin. Everything with Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the scene where he's walking around in the ice cave and he has his minions and he's trying to get them to sing. Sing, louder. That's really good. That's one of my favorite scenes. And I also really, really adore the scene where you see the origin of Schwarzenegger and it's like Clooney. Clooney's like watching on a screen. He's like, this is the origin of...
Right, he's like Dr. Victor Freeze.
Dr. Victor Freeze, and like you see like Schwarzenegger, and we've talked about this one before, but like it's like him in like a white lab coat, but he's like so jacked that you're just like, there's no way you're a scientist.
Not one scientist in the world that looks like that.
No way you're a scientist, and he's up there like pushing buttons on like some rig. He's like doot doot doot, and it starts to like it looks like something from The Simpsons. He's like
He like throws himself.
and he falls backwards into the vat of chemicals, and he turns into Victor Freeze. That's my favorite moment.
What do you have queued up here, Donica? What is this?
Allow me to break the ice.
Oh, sweet.
Freeze. Cold. Freeze. Cold. Frozen ice. Cold. Chill. Chilling. Winter. Ice. Winter ice. Chill. Cold. Ice. Chill. Cold. Freeze. Chill. Freeze. Winter ice. Cold. Cool. Ice. Frost. Winter ice. Freezing. Cool. Freeze. 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 Let's kick some ice.
Wonderful.
I don't know how.
Please
On
chill.
Chill.
Hey,
Chill.
Batman, do you know how the dinosaurs died? The Ice Age! Him falling backwards, though, is hands down my favorite part.
Oh, it's great. And George Clooney nipples.
All right, that's Batman. I'm going to go number 7, an unofficial franchise, the 5-movie partnership between Denzel Washington and Tony Scott over the course of their career.
Oh, my God. Here
5
we go.
wonderful films. Crimson Tide, Man on Fire, Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
I feel like your chair should
Deja
like
Vu,
rise and a light should come down.
and lastly, Unstoppable, which on a list of the 50 greatest action movies of the last of since 2000 that I read the other day, one of our wonderful fans posted it on the Twitter. Unstoppable was like number 37. It was the only. It was like Man on Fire and Unstoppable were the only 2 that were on the list. But I was like, really? I didn't know that Unstoppable was considered to be like actually a movie people liked.
I didn't either. I didn't know that people like that movie. I
The
need to watch it
Train
again.
is a great villain.
The Train is not a great movie.
I love that. But the point is, the reason that's a franchise to me, even though it's an unofficial franchise, is because it really does feel like Denzel Washington plays the same character through 8 movies.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't, but it's just like he kind of is exactly the same. He's like a version of himself.
Yeah, he's the noble savage, everyday man that struggles with his own battles, but at the end of the day, he's going to be honorable.
If you guys love this show and you haven't taken it upon yourself to watch those 5 movies, I highly recommend those are movies you guys watch because they're just, if you love movies the way we love movies and you remember those 90s guys, those 90s, 2000 stars the way we do, You will like all 5 of the movies, guaranteed. Even Pelham, which is like...
Even Pelham, you will.
Yeah, watch the movies and then watch the episodes we do, because I would guarantee that if you watch the movie then the episode, you'll have like such a renewed love for the movie you never knew you had. Even Deja Vu.
Okay. So that's 3. We got 2 more. Let's get through these quickly. I am going to go... Can we use the Middle-earth saga or no? With The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings?
I think unofficially there's 6 movies.
Yeah, I mean, that is like a life-changing trilogy and saga for me. I actually really like The Hobbit 3, but the original 2001-2, that was like 3 of the greatest years of my life, just waiting for those movies to come out.
Yeah.
It was so great. That actually might be my number 1, honestly.
Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love Lord of the Rings. I have a hard time I don't want to use James Bond because I feel like there's been more bad Bonds than good Bonds.
Yeah, but like the classic ones with Connery and all that, that's like
6 good Connerys, 1 good, maybe 1.5 good. What's it called?
Dalton or Moore?
No,
Craig.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
There's like 1 good Pierce Brosnan,
Kind of,
debatably.
yeah.
Timothy Dalton has like at least 1, if not 2 sweet ones. Yeah, you know what? I'll use James Bond.
All right,
There's like
Bond.
10 good movies.
I think that's a good one. For my last one, I think I have to use Die Hard.
Okay, yeah, because you have 3 good diehards.
Yeah, I mean
3.5 good diehards.
I love Die Hard with a Vengeance. That's
Yeah.
actually probably my favorite one. Then you got the original. You've got Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
And then the 4th and 5th ones are just stupid fun.
4 is like actually sweet.
That's the Justin Long one
Yeah.
and Timothy Olyphant one. That one's good.
I like 4, and 2 is okay. 2's not bad. It's just like kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
And then 5's not very good.
Yeah, 5's the worst, then 2, then 4, then 3, then 1, probably.
All right, so we have Star Wars, Rocky, Mission Impossible, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Bourne franchise, Batman, Tony Scott, Denzel Washington partnership, The Hobbit, / Lord of the Rings, James Bond, and the Die Hard franchises. If we missed any guys that jump out at you as being absolutely seminal, we've considered The Land Before Time, if anybody's wondering, the Fast franchise, the Harry Potter franchise, those are all in the runnings. But
National Lampoon's franchise, there's tons.
we had arguments against each of those that kept them out of the running for us. So let's move on to favorite line. I'm gonna duck favorite line because I didn't like any of the lines in this movie. I didn't have a single one that I walked out of the theater and I was like, I want to use this on the show.
I had to pick one because of our show. I felt the exact same. My sentiments were the exact same. And you know why? I know that I just half-assed it. It's because I took basically the last line of the movie. I took the last line of the movie.
Yeah.
It's when she's sitting there watching herself be like, we can bring him back in. I can do it, blah, blah, blah. And what if we can? Well, then we have to take him out.
Put him down.
Yeah, put him down, yeah. And it was just like, I saw her become Pam Landy.
Right.
So it was almost kind of like a fist pump moment.
Yeah, a little bit.
But then I'd also realized I was like, the only other line that I liked in the whole movie, and I was like, I gotta write it down. I couldn't remember it though, was when Vikander's like, well, wait, I have another idea. What if I go and meet him and we bring him back in and blah, blah, blah. And then she apologized. She's like, I'm sorry, Dewey. I just had to do it. And he's like, oh, let's go ahead. Or he just says something there, but it's just
Let's
like,
give it a shot. May as well give it a shot.
may as well give it a shot. And you're just like, God, you're such a dick. I love it.
Yeah, it was good. I also like the line in the flashback with his dad. When he says, "I've done something," but it comes at a cost.
Comes at a great cost.
Yeah, or it costs something.
Yeah.
That was a good line because I thought that was cool that like his dad was like, "I put you in some shit," you know. And yeah. But all in all, I thought that this movie was poorly written, and I didn't really like any of the lines. So
Recast. We're gonna skip Cage versus Cruz.
there's no lines.
There's no lines. There's only 43 lines.
Yeah, I think
We did enough Albert Finney.
Yeah, plenty of Finney. We've been skipping the rankings for a little while now. That's something we should make sure we do before next week. We got a good movie for next week that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got a cool one next week, guys.
And we should try to figure out a better way to do that for next week so we can bring back the ranking because it's been like 4 or 5 weeks.
I do miss ranking them.
At least the movies. The hero villain ranking got a little trite towards the end.
Yeah.
But we'll figure out the best way to do that, guys. So let's get into the 3 categories. There are 3 action movie categories. Totally ridiculous, totally legitimate, and ridiculously legitimate. Totally ridiculous are movies like Face Off, Con Air. They're absurd. You laugh out loud all the time. They fall off a cliff of absurdity. They're almost going out of their way to be ridiculous, I think.
Yeah.
Totally legitimate are movies like The Fugitive, The Matrix, Terminator 2. Movies that are held together really, really well with drama, well acted, compelling.
If you took the action out of it, it would still be a great drama.
Yeah,
you know?
and you don't laugh unintentionally.
Yeah.
And then movies that are ridiculously legitimate are kind of right in the middle category.
We love that category.
Speed, Point Break, The Rock, Predator, Air Force One. They're just the movies that really they're somewhere in the middle. They're awesome. They're compelling. They have great performances, but they're also a little silly.
Yeah.
You get a little.
You laugh every now and then.
Yeah. I'm almost inclined to call this movie totally ridiculous because it feels like the middle category almost is like.
It's too good for it.
Yeah, but I think it is the middle category.
I'm gonna agree. I think a part of me, just like you said, I kind of want to throw it in totally ridiculous, but it's not. At the end of the day, it's still a Jason Bourne movie. One of the things that they talk about in all the Bourne movies, or in a lot of them with Gilroy, I don't know if it's the same now, but like everything that he uses, you can go buy at the store.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nothing's too crazy. Like even in the MI movies when they recreate the hallways and all that.
Yeah.
Like it's done in a different way. Where everything is the whole point of it is just like it's very simple.
Yeah,
simplistic.
definitely.
So I'm gonna go middle category for sure.
Sweet. All right, guys, we have one last thing on the show, and that is called The Pitch. Nice. We still need the sound bite for that, but I like that you do it every week.
I'm gonna keep doing it.
The Panther. Guys, we actually have a movie next week. We're not pitching a movie for you that is a question. We're gonna be doing Cliffhanger, the 1994 Stallone classic with
Lithgow.
with John Lithgow, and
Yeah.
we have two special guests. We have the ladies, the hosts of the 6 Degrees of Feature Film podcast. That is Miss Movies and Stacey Howard. They are awesome. They do a great podcast. We guested on it like a couple months ago.
Yeah, we did the
We started with
blanking. We did Tom Cruise essentially. So we started with like Magnolia.
It was like Jerry Maguire, Magnolia, and Risky Business. I
Risky
think.
Business were the 3 we branched off on. Yeah, so basically their podcast, you pick a movie and you kind of branch out based off of some common theme or theory.
Yeah.
It was super fun. We had a great time, and they've been wanting to come on. We've been dying to have them on, but we've been so busy. It'll be an awesome show.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't wait to do that. So Cliffhanger next week. Watch Cliffhanger. And remember, guys, you can submit your hashtag AMA question. We didn't do it this week, but we will be sure to do it next week. It's your AMA question of the week, something you want to hear us debate on the show. So hashtag AMA question. Find us at AMA Podcast. That is the Twitter. I'm Ben Bateman Media. You can find me at Ben Bateman Media on Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm Andrew Ghai, and you can find me on Twitter.
And not Instagram.
Not Instagram.
Bye, guys. See you next week.
Take care.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.